Secretary has to leave, and I would now recognize a gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Johnson, for 5 minutes of questions.
I'm just going to take the position that she was scared of my questions. Mr. Chairman, if we could stop the clock and,
Yep. Oh, yes,
wait
no,
till
that,
after all
absolutely.
this.
The clerk will suspend.
If we could reset the time,
Yes.
that would be helpful.
We'll reset the clock. Gentlelady, prepared?
Okay. Thank you.
Gentlelady's recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Yes, that was all of that was the left, folks. Look, I hate to point fingers, but I'm going to go ahead and proceed to point fingers. That was absolutely the left, and that was just because Kristi Noem left the building. That was it. They lose their freaking minds. Like, what good is that going to do? Letting somebody know that you're mad. Oh, we're disappointed in what you're doing. Oh, it's illegal according to us, but not according to the law. Like, what good is that going to do? You just make yourself look like an idiot. That's all you're doing in that situation right there. Like, it's so absurd, like what the actions some of these people take. And they just don't seem to care about decorum, about respect for the office or anything like that. Like, look, these are the same people that will yell and scream, gnash their teeth about disrespecting the Capitol, and then they pull some stunts like that. Like, are you serious? I'm serious. Like, I don't care what you say about January 6th at this point. I know you don't mean any of it. You could care less about it. It's just politically advantageous for you to use January 6th because, oh, that was the other side, so we're going to take this. We're going to pretend we love the Constitution. We're going to pretend we love America, and we're going to bludgeon you over the head with your own actions. There you go. That's a good way to go about my day. Give me a cup of coffee and then bludgeon somebody over the head politically. It's insane, y'all, but you guys do me that favor. I got this hearing coming up, and this lady's obscene. That's the only way I can really put it. So y'all do me that favor, smash that like button for me, subscribe if you're new around here, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can, click the join button, sign up and become a member. That is the best way to help this channel expand and grow. And without any further ado, folks, here's the rhetoric.
You know, I just want to respond to a lot of what Secretary Noem has just testified to. And gentlemen, I have some comments that I hope you'll take back to the Secretary and to the Department. If there's anything that is clear about what is going on in this country, is that the rhetoric and fear that is happening is at an all-time escalated high, and we're all describing different aspects of it. Fear of law enforcement, fear of citizens, fear of people who are legally in this country, because it's the rhetoric that is happening from the very top that is being decimated down level, and that is really, really dangerous. And one of the things that the Secretary said was she is restoring the rule of law. That is absolutely not true, because the rule of law is founded on two fundamental principles. That if you are going to be subject to a criminal arrest in this country, that there is probable cause to do so. You can't just snatch somebody walking into a coffee shop because of the color of their skin. There's no probable cause for that. And also that you will get due process. And that is not happening.
Okay, folks, so to dispel that right quick, like, sure, it may look like they're racially profiling people, but hang on just a second. That's like a tool that they can use. As a matter of fact, considering 99% of all the criminal aliens that come into this country are of a certain ethnic background. everything is not always what it seems, right? We can watch an AI video and it looks like somebody, like a real person talking, but it's not real. So, just because it looks like something doesn't mean that's what it is. The old saying, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a goose. Well, there you go, folks. But this is just one situation, right? Like, just because they look of a certain ethnic background doesn't mean a damn thing. And for the sake of argument here, right, I can't stand when Democrats, and they've been doing this ever since Trump come back into office. Before that, they were just silent-lipped on this. But they're using due process as a noun. It's not a noun, as a matter of fact. That's an adjective. You're describing something. You're describing something that happens. And that they pretend that, due process is the same all the way across the board, right? They're saying, but they get due process. Well, once again, I've broken this down on the channel before, but it's been a while, so I'm going to go ahead and break this down right quick. The due process, if you enter the country illegally, you know what that due process, or the process by which you are due, you know what that is? That is to pick you up, put you into the back of a Border Patrol vehicle or an ICE vehicle, bring you to a detention center, and then deport you immediately. Allow you, hey, if you want to call a lawyer, if you got the funds to do that, go right ahead, you can do so. But that is the process which you are due. That's it. That is all you are due. Like, if you get in touch with a lawyer and they file a case for some sort of asylum claim or anything like that, then that's another situation, right? It's a whole different set of circumstances, a whole different set of due process, if you want to use it as a noun. Right? It's different for everybody. She's talking about, a criminal case. Yeah, if you break the law while you're in the country, right? Because entering the country illegally, it's a federal crime, but it's a misdemeanor, right? There's no felony, but that is just the process that you are due. Now, if you proceed to break another law, like a felonious action or something like that, then yes, that's a whole different set of due process that you can employ, that we have to give you. It's your constitutional rights, right? And everybody in the country gets those constitutional rights. But once again, that they try to pretend that due process is the same for everybody. Once again, folks, it is written into the law. If you cross that border within 2 years, basically the only process you are due is to pick you up and deport you expeditiously. No courts, none of that. You can try to claim asylum, but if that interferes with the deportation process, then that's what it is. If you can get to a judge before they deport you, then you might have a case and you might get to stay. But once again, just because you claim asylum, that doesn't mean you're going to stay in the country. The current administration has a policy of not allowing asylees into the country. And as I broke down, I think it was yesterday, the only legitimate asylum claims out there are people from Mexico or people from Canada, because that whole process, the rules to that essentially, like the basic rules to that is you go to the nearest safe country, right? Whatever that may be, right? And Mexico is considered a safe country. So is El Salvador. So most of these people from Venezuela or Colombia or any of these other South American countries, right? They don't have legitimate asylum claims because they could just easily go to El Salvador and boom, there you go. That's it. El Salvador's a safe nation. But why do they not do that? Why do they go through the Darien Gap and come all the way to the United States? We have no idea, folks, but I've been rambling for too long, so let's keep going.
And so you're seeing is an overwhelming frustration of the American people in this country, that the lack of respect and regard for the rule of law by this administration, and in particular by this secretary, is at a level that we have never seen and violates all of the constitutional norms and all of the principles of legal fairness in this country.
Now do the Biden administration. I would love to see that. Let's keep going.
And you're seeing that manifest itself in threats to law enforcement and bubbling over because people are frustrated. And they are channeling that frustration because the administration is not listening and is only doubling down on the rhetoric. This notion that I think my colleagues highlighted, that we're only going to pursue serious threats It's just not true.
You're right, lady. It is not true because the administration never said they were only going to target the worst of the worst. They said that was going to be their priority. You know what priorities mean, right? That they're going to focus on this. But that doesn't mean they're going to ignore everything else. They're not going to ignore just regular random people in the country illegally. They're going to go after these people as well, in addition to going after the worst of the worst, right? That 70%, that's good. It's great. Getting these people out of the country. Once again, I can't stand this argument. Oh, but the 70% didn't have a criminal record. Well, neither did Jeffrey Dahmer. Once again, he didn't have a criminal record until he got caught. You could also look at those terrorists that flew a plane into the Twin Towers. Did those guys have a criminal record in the United States? Most of them did not. But that doesn't mean they're not a threat. It just means they haven't got caught yet. These people are just brain dead. Let's keep going.
I visited an ICE facility outside of Dallas. And over 70% of them were classified as the lowest threat level, as never having a criminal record at all. But yet they were there because of the color of their skin. There was not a probable cause. They're not a threat to this country. They have no criminal history at all.
I would love to know how she knows that these people are not a threat. Once again, will you want to wait till they commit a crime? Oh, it's too late at that point. You want to wait till they murder somebody? Oh, it's too late at that point. How do we know if they're a threat or not? Just because a man's been in the country for 30 years doesn't mean that he's not a threat. Probably means that, but it's not necessarily true. These people, once again, folks, they're just absurd. Let's keep going.
I fully support, as does everyone on this committee, Homeland Security focusing on threats to our national security. We want cybersecurity. We want terroristic threats from abroad to be stopped. Absolutely. None of us want a recreation of 9/11, but we also do not want, under any level, the trampling of our constitutional rights and the legal system of due process. I have a poster here to highlight 3 American citizens that were arrested by ICE, who had done nothing wrong. They presented themselves as American citizens, but yet were still trampled, assault. One had broken ribs, a brain injury, an older gentleman by being knocked down to the ground after he said, "I'm an American citizen." But yet they did not stop. And that is a huge problem. When somebody says, "I'm an American citizen," to ICE, and ICE does not stop and continues to assault them and physically berate them and then hold them for days and days on end without a due process hearing, that is a problem.
Get this. I mean, that sounds rational, right? But let me go ahead and dispel that irrationality, if you will, because it's not very rational. Do you expect ICE to be going after criminal aliens and somebody says, "I'm an American citizen," and they just be like, "Oh, okay, bet, my bad," and just go on to the next? Is that what they expect? Like, seriously, because that's what she's saying. That's essentially what she's saying. Even if you show an ID, that doesn't mean they're an American citizen. Right? We know that in these blue states, they've been giving out IDs like freaking candy to everybody. You could have a valid state ID and not be in the country legally. We've got to figure out and vet these people to figure this out. Look, hey, I understand. As an American citizen, you don't want to be detained, and I'm not advocating for this. But once again, these things do happen, folks. These things happen all the time, and I'll tell you a story right quick. Okay, I've delivered pizza for Pizza Hut. Okay, got in my car with some deliveries and I took off going down the road, right? And we used to, I don't know if you guys remember this, and they still do it in some places. You put that magnetic sign on the top of your car. Generally speaking, they do these things, but I didn't always do that. Sometimes we were in a rush or whatever. My cigarette lighter didn't work, whatever the case was at the time, because it's on and off type thing. But anyway, getting back, I put the pizzas in my car and I took off going down the road, right? And I'm going like 45, a little bit over the speed limit, but not much, 5 over. The speed limit was 40. And all of a sudden, blue lights behind me. Boom, boom, boom. I pull over. The cop didn't even get out, right? He just gets on his speakerphone, turn the car off, put it in park, blah, 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 blah. Get out with your hands up. Back up, blah, blah, blah. Put my hands up. Lay down on the ground, blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, as soon as I lay down on the ground, 3 other cop cars come in from different directions. Right, and I'm laying on the ground. The guy runs up, puts me in handcuffs, picks me up and puts me in the back of the car. And I'm like, what in the F is going on here? 15 minutes later, they come pull me out of the car, take the handcuffs off, tell me to have a nice day. I'm like, well, can I know what happened? And anyway, the sergeant or whatever came up because I was like, what in the F? What was this all about? Well, like, what did I do? I want to know what happened. I was kind of causing a scene. I was pissed. Right? Naturally, you would be. Sergeant comes up and says, a vehicle that fit the description of my car was stolen, and the license plate number was almost identical. Right? Some of the numbers were flipped around. Some of the letters it was actually a different letter, so it was his bad on the cop that actually pulled me over. But the numbers were the same. One of the letters was different, and they were inverted. But anyway, the cop mistaked, that car because it fit the description. And he pulled me over, stolen car. Boom, there you go. What can I do about that? Like, I was mad at the time, but at this point, I thank these cops for doing that, for being on the job and doing this job, right? It's a stressful job, and especially if you go look at ICE, they have a very, very stressful job. They're getting protested all over the place. They've got all these threats. People are doxing their homes. Their families are under threat. These people, they're getting death threats on. It's like an endless stream of death threats. You know how you can stream movies to your phone or your laptop or whatever that may be? Well, imagine that's death threats, just an endless stream of those. These people are under tremendous stress, so mistakes are going to happen. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying when you have a system this large, when you have an administration that brings in, that illegally imports up to 15 to 20 million criminal aliens, and then the next administration has to come in and clean that up, of course some mistakes are going to be made, folks, but these people are doing a job, and they were doing it on behalf of us to make us safe. That is what is going on. Let's keep going.
And it is not stopping. We have brought these concerns to the Secretary and to agencies like yourself in these hearings time and time again through multiple letters. We've all written letters that have gone unresponded because this cannot happen in our country. And the reality of it is, in any law enforcement situation and what we have happening out into the public is there are ICE agents and there are Border Patrol agents that are doing their great job. They're doing what they're supposed to do. But there are also bad actors. There are people who are exceeding their authority. The power's gone to their head. The intimidation is outrageous. And there's no effort to rein them in by the FBI. There's no effort to rein them in by the Homeland Security. There's no effort to overcorrect, just like one of my colleagues highlighted, the reinstatement of one that was inappropriate. And these efforts are breaking down the trust of the American people. I hope you take these concerns back because they need to be addressed if we're going to address the violence in this country. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I now recognize.
Folks, that last section, that's just blatantly false, right? She tries to use that particular situation with that guy. Oh, he was reinstated. Yeah, well, come to find out, like I said, they uploaded that video, and all you saw, the video started with the ICE agent grabbing a lady and slamming her onto the ground. Well, hang on just a second. They do these things intentionally, folks. They will clip the video to where it looks like ICE just went nuts and just attacked somebody. Well, it just so happens that's where the video starts. Look, as a warning to everybody, if you see a video like that, always try to search for the full video. Right? Because in that situation where they come out and made a statement, said this is completely inappropriate, DHS did, it's completely inappropriate, we're going to do an investigation, they suspended the guy, come to find out you get the body cam footage, and hang on just a second, oh, we figure out that lady assaulted that ICE officer, that's why he did what he did. They do this on purpose because they're trying to frame ICE as Gestapo. They're going to any length by any means necessary to make the administration look bad, folks. So don't be bamboozled, if you will, by the nonsense, by the manipulation, by the fakery of these people. These people are lying, folks. ICE agents are getting fired all of the time for overstepping their authority. When we find out that they actually overstep their authority, they're getting fired. Outright, folks. Don't let them lie to you. We don't want any bad actors in ICE, right? Because once again, the administration is under tremendous scrutiny. Everything is being scrutinized to the fullest detail. They want it to be perfect, but it's never going to be. Just like any other police department, you have bad eggs. You're just going to have that. Power goes to people's heads. It is what it is, folks. You will never eliminate that from society. That's just one of those things. I mean, you can gripe and complain and moan about it, Miss Karen, if you would like, but it's not going to fix the problem. They are on it. They are doing their job. Much better than the previous administration, I have to say. But I think I've rambled on for long enough. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and all over the place all at the same time. If you could, that'd be great. It's about as fast as I can speak. Not very fast, right? Not very fast at all. But look, guys, Christmas time it's a great time of the year. It's my favorite time of the year, as a matter of fact, because not only do we get to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, but that is the celebration of our salvation, folks. The birth of the man that was sent from heaven to save us, to forgive us of our sins and wash all that away, folks. It is the greatest time of the year. You must be thankful for these things. We must always remember and keep it at the top of mind that that is the reason for the season, folks. That is the reason we celebrate these things, and no other reason. It's not about giving gifts. That is just simulating what was given to us, essentially. But you guys try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.